Hello, everyone. It is now 6 o'clock, and we're going to begin our public speak out portion of the City Council meeting. I would like to acknowledge my colleagues that are here in person, Jerry Martin, City Councilor for Ward 7, and Vice President of the City Council walking in, Jose Delgado, with his backpack. And online, we have Councilor Perez, Ward 1, City Councilor, also listening in. Oh, and Councilor, oh, you gotta be admitted. Yeah, and Ward 8, City Councilor Victor Davila has just joined. So first, we're going to hear from David, and for camper violation, what's your last name? Because, okay, I couldn't read it. So if you can join at the podium, turn on the green light. Councilor Justin Hurst is joining us also. And just state your name and address for the record.
My name is David Bollier, 1215 Wolverhampton Road.
And you get 3 minutes.
There we go. Got it. All right.
To tell us what's going on.
All right. So good evening, everyone. Basically, I lived in a 16-acre section of Springfield my whole life. I've been living at 2415 Wolverhampton Road for over close to 25 years. On December 10th, I received a violation regarding my camper. My current camper has been on my property since 2014 in the exact location. Before this camper, I had another camper in that location for many years with no issues. A few years ago, the placement was reported, ordinance reviewed it, and I was told that the placement was acceptable. Nothing about that location or the use has changed since that time. My camper cannot be seen unless you're physically on top of my property. It is not visible driving down my street, or my neighbors do not complain about it. When I received a violation on December 10th, I called ordinance right away. The message stated that the inspector was on vacation until January 1st. The call was forwarded to another staff member, and I left the voicemail as well. No response back. I then sent emails requesting communication, a site visit on December 11th, 12th, December 21st, and January 3rd to code enforcement, City Council, and the Planning Board. In those emails, I also pointed out that campers can be seen throughout the city, including at businesses and other properties. And I asked for clarification on how this ordinance was being applied. I also emailed Mayor Sarno's office on January 16th and the 22nd, asking for assistance, requesting a site visit, no response. On January 4th, I finally received a response from the head of ordinance. Instead of addressing my situation or scheduling a visit, I was asked to provide addresses of other campers in the cities, campers at the city. That was the last response I received from him. Meanwhile, my camper is registered, insured, I pay my property taxes, I pay my excise taxes, it's well maintained and is not used for dwelling. The camper is moved during camping season probably every 2 weeks. Meanwhile, around the same time that I received my notice, several other people in my area, in 6 acres area, also received violations. At this point, this is no longer about a specific issue. It appears to be a broad enforcement without clear communication and consistent application. I also took the time to review the Springfield zoning ordinance being used here. Section 4.4.40 states the storage of a travel trailer recreational vehicle exceeding 20 feet in length shall not be permitted in any residential zoning district. However, the ordinance does not clarify or clearly define what stored means. It does not distinguish between an abandoned vehicle sitting for years and a registered, insured camper that is actively used and properly maintained. In addition, most modern family campers today are well over 20 feet long, meaning this rule effectively bans nearly all recreational vehicles and from residential properties. If you guys drive through Springfield, you will see numerous campers larger than mine. My camper right now is approximately 28 feet, okay, throughout the city. Some are at homes, some are at businesses, and some are at apartment complexes, including some that are nearby. You will also see boats, because that is also listed in that ordinance law, shrink wrap and stored on properties throughout the city, which is clearly form storage as well. Okay. Well, let's go all the way to the end.
Okay.
Okay. So right now I have a total of 118 signatures from a petition, and I would like this cleared up. This is not fair for a person who is paying taxes and not having a vehicle on their property. Okay? It is registered once again, taxes are paid, and it's not used for dwelling, but if you go through the city, you will see a lot of it. Okay, so I want you guys to really think about this for me. All right, the camper is only used for travel, which is gone, like I said, every 2 weeks. So it's not considered as storage in my eyes. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, sure. Councilor Hurst.
Okay, thank you. All right.
And I do have an email trail that I'll forward to the rest of the councilors. I know that I responded, but I will forward to the rest of the councilors.
Okay, thank you very much.
I also want to recognize Councilors Click Bruce, Councilor Walsh, Councilor Fenton has also joined us remotely. Next person on the agenda is Diana Mays for a fence conversation. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Diana Mays, and my address is 15 Hyde Avenue. I'm here speaking on behalf of Felicita Vera. I'm just going to read a statement for her.
Sure.
Perfect. I am requesting approval for the existing 7-foot fence on my property at 57 Hyde Avenue due to ongoing harassment and safety concerns involving my neighbors at 49 Hyde Avenue. A violation was issued because the fence exceeds 6 feet, and this permit is required to prevent additional violation fees. The current fence height is necessary to maintain safety, privacy, and protection for myself and my household. Since August 2025, I've experienced repeated incidents, including verbal threats.
I gotta stop you because
Yes.
this item is actually scheduled to be on an agenda on the 23rd.
Oh.
Huh? On the 23rd?
Is it? Okay.
Is it?
We
Wait a
were
minute.
not aware of any of that.
Let me look and see.
Yeah, no problem. I also failed to mention I have everything that I'm stating. I have all the documentation to prove it here. So.
Sure. I believe that it can be forwarded to us. Can I just, give me one moment?
If it is part of the hearing, all of that documentation can be forwarded to us, and then you'll get 20 minutes to speak on the day of the hearing.
On the day of.
If it is an item.
Okay. Who would they have notified of that?
That's a good question.
Yes.
Excuse me, I spoke to someone today, and he said today at 6 o'clock. So I called 3 times, so I confirmed it.
Vamos a ver. Who's supposed to contact you when something like that gets moved, or how would they contact us?
I think the thought was that you all were coming before us for a special permit,
Okay.
which is probably what needs to happen in order for us to allow for you to have a fence of that size.
I understand.
So I thought it could be a totally different item. I thought I had read for our hearings meeting.
Okay.
Well, sorry.
The address is 57 Hyde Avenue.
Madam President, I
HYT.
think the request for them is probably a variance, is what they're probably looking
Because
for.
what we were requesting today is a waiver of the $260 and permission for the.
All right, so yeah.
We'll carry out, because I don't see it on the,
Okay. Should I continue reading? Okay. No, that's not right now. No, that's right. All right, so should I just start all over, or? Okay, so I'm requesting approval for the existing 7-foot fence on my property at 57 Hyde Avenue. Due to ongoing harassment and safety concerns involving my neighbors at 49 Hyde Avenue, a violation was issued because the fence exceeds 7 feet, and this permit is required to prevent additional violation fees. The current fence is necessary to maintain safety, privacy, and protection for myself and my household. Since August 2025, I've experienced repeated incidents, including verbal threats, intimidation, vulgar language, and a physical assault that occurred on 8/29/25. Additional incidents have involved vehicles blocking or obstructing my driveway, targeted yelling and laughing towards my home, and a floodlight that is intentionally directed into my bedroom window, causing sleep disruption and emotional distress. Most recently, on 12/3/25, my neighbor used a snowblower to intentionally throw snow onto my fence in a continued pattern of harassment. We've taken every appropriate step to resolve this situation. We brought forth these incidents at the New North Citizens Council monthly neighborhood meeting. We've spoken to the police multiple times, filed a harassment report, appeared before a judge on 3 separate occasions. We contacted Senior Affairs Executive Director Roy Goodman, and the case was assigned to Detective McCain. However, no contact or follow-up has been initiated. We also attempted to reach Captain Toledo of the Springfield Police Department, Ward 1C3, who is the perpetrator's nephew. And he stated that there's a clear conflict of interest, which we understand. But despite all of these efforts, the harassment has continued and amplified, and there's no resolution at this time. These ongoing actions have caused significant anxiety, loss of sleep, fear for my safety. Maintaining the current fence height is essential for my well-being and peace of mind. I'm also requesting a waiver for the $260 for the City Council Special Permit Tier 3 fee due to the financial burden of necessary upgrades, security upgrades that I've already made in response to these incidents. I respectfully ask for the council's approval and consideration today. Thank you so much. And so what should we do as far as waiting for any resolution or any decision?
well, you have to go through the special permit process, and I don't know if that's already started yet.
I believe
But I
it
would
is.
contact Phil Dromey on the steps, and planning department can guide you on what to do next.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yep, we are all set.
You can, or you can stay. You can. Yeah, yeah. Sean's here, yeah. Can you go around that way to Sean?
Madam President, has the petitioner left?
Counselor Walsh?
Yeah, I'm a bit concerned about the previous speaker who doesn't feel safe in her old home. And
Yeah.
I don't know if special permit is enough to help her out. I think we might have to refer this to another committee or definitely do a follow-up.
Okay. Yep, public safety, maybe it's something you could bring to your committee. So Jerry will probably need your contact information? Okay, so he can do a... Thank you so much. Okay, Ms. Rodriguez? Rhonda Latney? Crystal Bucci? Stephen Howard? Please state your name and address for the record and the topic.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone. Stephen Howard, 1104 Withington Street here in Springfield. Here to address Eversource. Media reports are saying that many residents are reporting bills doubling or tripling in late 2025 going into 2026. Part of the contributing factors are higher usage during a much colder winter season, increased supply costs, and infrastructure upgrades are the primary reasons driving these higher costs. Now, Eversource has basically put out a 3% decrease to the delivery portion of the bill that took effect on January 1st, 2026, intended to provide relief. I don't see how 3% could be a comparable form of relief when you're talking about 100 to 200% increase in the bills. Eversource has attributed the high bills to increased usage rather than just price hikes, and they noted that a 29.5% increase in gas costs occurred for some heating customers in early 2025. I find it interesting. I'm going by memory, but in a subcommittee meeting that I attended last year, I recall that Eversource had stated that the delivery cost for the gas was twice the amount of the actual cost of the gas, meaning that folks are probably paying 3 times the amount of money for energy than they normally should be paying because of those costs. I'm trying to pull up what Eversource has made last year. I think they in 24, I think they reported profits of something like eight and what is it? Okay, here it is. Eversource reported a major profit rebound for 2025 with the net income doubling to $1.69 billion. $1.69 billion. The year before that, it was $811.7 million. You have a lot of people on fixed income, low income, and to be paying 3 times the amount of gas and then having it doubled, and then with this conflict going on in the Middle East, gas prices per barrel have already risen from about $54 a barrel to last night. It was trading at $116 a barrel, and they expect it to go up to possibly $150 in a couple of months if the longer this conflict goes. So if you have this kind of doubling in anticipated costs, you're paying 3 times the amount of money. Eversource is making over $1 billion in profits. What's going on here? Thank you.
Did you come for public speak out? Oh, no? Oh, 6:30, okay. Thank you. So is there anyone else here for public speak out at this time? Seeing none, we will adjourn public speak out and we will start our regular meeting at 6:30. Thank you.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Good evening. The time is now 6:30, and we will start the regular City Council meeting. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilor Santinello. Absent. Councilor Martin.
Present.
Present. Councilor Perez. Absent. Councilor Brown.
Present.
Present. Councilor Govan.
Present.
Present. Councilor Walsh.
Present.
Present. Councilor Hurst.
Present.
Present. Councilor Davila. Absent. Councilor Fenton. Absent. Councilor Delgado.
Present.
Present. Councilor Click Bruce.
Councilor Cliff Bruce, can you say present?
Present. Councilor Edwards.
Present.
Present. Councilor Whitfield.
Present.
Bye.
Thank you.
Madam
Thank you, Vice
Chair,
President. That's a good Vice President.
Ma-
Can you please recognize Counselor in seat 3?
Councilor Perez.
present.
Present.
Can you please recognize Counselor in seat 9?
Councilor Fenton.
Present.
Present.
That's it, okay. Counselors, do we have any reports of committee? All right, seeing no reports of committee, Madam Clerk, will you please call item number 1?
Item 1 is the City Council Public Speak Out Pilot.
Thank you. Counselor Hurst?
Thank you, Madam President. This particular item was spearheaded by yourself, Madam President, so hopefully I can, between myself and Attorney Moore, we can kind of highlight what the intentions were. Number one, what we're trying to do is to include public speak out as part of our regular meeting. When we went to a variety of different forums prior to being elected, there were a number of individuals who were concerned about individuals being present for public speak out. So one of the solutions was to include public speak out as part of our regular meeting so that, we could get more participation from counselors. And I know, as Madam President pointed out previously or at our last meeting, that public speak out is required. Doesn't always happen that way. And so I know there were a number of occasions where individuals have come before the City Council looking to speak to their entire body or certainly the majority of their body, and folks have not been present. So one solution was to include public speak out as part of the regular meetings. One of the reasons why I am in favor of trying out this pilot is because what it would do is it would avoid what just occurred, and that's our public speak out ends at 6:15, and then we sit here and we're waiting in the chambers looking at each other for 15 minutes as opposed to getting down to the business of the city. And so this would allow us to include public speak out in our regular meetings, and then as soon as we're done, we'd be able to transition directly into our regular meeting. So I'll defer to Attorney Moore to kind of give a synopsis as to what this pilot entails. I hope he's on. I spoke to him earlier, and then I'll open it up to the council to get your thoughts.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst. Before I turn it over to Attorney Moore, can you please Madam Clerk, can you please recognize Councilor in seat 8?
Councilor Davila.
Present.
Present.
Attorney Moore, the floor is yours.
Madam President, thank you. Attorney Thomas Moore, Associate City Solicitor, City of Springfield Law Department. I had the pleasure of working with Madam President and Councilor Hurst to kind of piece together this pilot program. As the councilor very correctly identified, the goals of the pilot program really are to increase participation both from the councilors and the public, and also to increase government efficiency by saving time during the meetings themselves when there's extra time left over. So the current program, the current public speak out, I should say, is under Rule 3 of the City Council Rules and Orders. And as the councilors are aware, it requires mandatory attendance by the council. It also gives 30 minutes for public speak out, and I believe there's up to 10 speakers can speak during that time for 3 minutes each. The program that's being proposed would suspend Rule 3 for a period of 90 days, and it would implement the program in its place for that time. And after the expiration of the 90-day period, the existing council rules would be automatically restored, and the council would then debate as to whether they wanted to make the program more permanent by amending the council rules. Rule 3 will be suspended, and then Rule 5 will also be suspended. It's a bit of a procedural requirement. Rule 5 sets forth the order of business for all regular meetings, and under the pilot program, we'd be inserting public speak out just before the business of the council. So essentially right about the time we're speaking now would be when public speak out would take place during the regular meetings. We have preserved the existing time, place, and manner restrictions that are in the current public speak out program, and it essentially amounts to, there are open meeting law concerns, and there are also concerns about freedom of speech and freedom of assembly whenever the government's looking to restrict the speech of the public when they're attending a public meeting. So, the program kind of anticipates that there may be, hurdles or obstacles for the counselors to kind of be aware of during public speak out while it's a part of the regular meeting. And really what the program calls for is that counselors are going to be prohibited from participating during that time. And that kind of means really what it sounds like. There can be kind of no discussion of what's being said in the public speak out. It's the time for the public to kind of, seek redress from the government. And the council's really role at that point is just to listen. So, because we don't want to run afoul of the open meeting law or our requirements procedurally under the public hearing regulations in the Commonwealth, the council really would be sort of restrained from speaking and asking questions and engaging with the speakers. It would really be a matter of listening, and then when the session ends, continuing with the business that's on the meeting agenda. This is a concern that really runs, addresses a couple issues. One is when someone speaks as a part of public speak out and they're speaking about an item that is not on our meeting agenda. When you have a public speak out in the middle of your meeting, it's certainly likely and impossible for someone from the public to stand up and talk about a subject that's not a part of our agenda. At that point, open meeting law doesn't allow us to deliberate and debate on that item. So it will be something the council really should be aware of and cognizant of as we're doing the program, is to really embrace the role of just listening and taking in the information. And another concern, of course, is as the council debates the merits of the pilot tonight, is kind of looking at whether there's going to be any changes or adjustments to how we deal with the content of what's being said. At this point, we're very reasonably under Rule 3 restricting discussion and public speak out to matters that are related to affairs and business of the city of Springfield, which is quite broad and covers, as you might imagine, quite a number of topics. And it also prohibits and limits speakers from speaking about items that are pending before the council as a part of public hearings, whether that's a hearing that's about to happen or it's a hearing that did happen where a decision's pending. And for obvious reasons, we wouldn't want to take in information or evidence as part of public speak out that related to a public hearing. So the program is at this stage, the version that's in front of the council has a total of 8 speakers speaking for 3 minutes apiece. I know that was a subject kind of discussion within the subcommittee, so it may well be tonight as well. But it really takes a lot of the current rule and moves it into the regular meeting agenda. And then it kind of reinforces the idea that the councilors themselves should be passive participants in these public speak out session. So with that being said, I'm happy to kind of answer any legal questions or issues if anybody has any. But again, it's very much in the spirit of what we've done for public speak out, but it's an updating, and I think an attempt, like Councilor Hurst said, to try to engage both the councilors and the public more in that session.
Thank you, Attorney Moore. Any questions from councilors or remarks, comments? Councilor Perez, followed by Councilor Govan.
I just want to say, could we discuss this more in detail in the government committee? Because I have other concerns and we should discuss it before approving. If not, no objection, I will put the motion to send it to the government committee.
Councilor Perez made a motion to send to general government. Is there on the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Wash. On the motion, Councilor Hurst.
I don't have a problem with sending this back to committee. The committee did meet one time. I'd be more than happy to meet again if folks, want to refine this a little bit more. But we did decide, to vote it to come before the full body. And so, if it's the will of the body, then we can certainly meet on it again, or we can have a discussion now. And, if folks voted up, great. If they voted down, no problem. I don't think it's that drastic of a change, and if folks don't want it, I mean, it's not a huge deal either. So
thank you, Councilor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Madam President. And I think this is a really good idea to pilot this, to try it out, because what I noticed in the last few years that I've been on the council is that people come to public speak out and nobody's listening to them because nobody's here. And by nobody, I mean sometimes the councilors aren't here. So having it during the meeting, I think would be a good idea. Keeping in mind what Attorney Moore said about, what we usually do, just listen. We don't, interact with the public. And I think the main reason why I would like for it to pass is because this is what the constituents asked for. They requested for us to try this out, to do it, because of their concerns. So I think it's something that we can move forward on. I know that it was discussed at length in the government committee, and I think we could take a vote on it. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Councilor Walsh?
Well, usually when a motion is made to committee and seconded, it has to be voted on.
Yeah. But we can also discuss the motion, so do you have a comment on the motion?
Yes, I would like to see it go to committee. I have several concerns. I read the opinion that Attorney Moore sent us today, and the words that he's talking about, prohibition, limits, open meetings, freedom of speech. I think there's a lot of things in here that need to be discussed. I don't think it should be mandatory for public speak. I think it should be the responsibility of the individual counselors to show up and do what's right. But take today's meeting. There were 2 people who spoke. With this new, if I'm reading it right, with this new suggestions, the meeting ended at 6:10. So what about the regular people who are coming to the 6:30 meeting and they get here at 6:30 and we've started at 6:10? I mean, I think there are quite a few things to be worked out with this, but I am particularly concerned about any suggestions or indications that we would limit anybody's right to speak. And I think that's in there.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Attorney Moore, can you just talk about the time aspect of when the meeting will start and how that will work?
Yes, Madam President. It's anticipated at this point that the item would appear after the start of the regular meeting, just before the voting business of the body. So it would be taking place, I would guess around, if we started every meeting at 6:30, public speak out would probably be about 6:40 at the latest, I would imagine.
Thank you, Attorney Moore. Just wanted to clarify. Councilor Brown? On the motion?
Yes, on the motion. Attorney Moore.
Yes, sir.
Attorney Moore. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Aren't our public speakouts recorded? Are they recorded or are they not?
The current version of the public speak out, I'm not sure that actually appears on television, Counselor, or is recorded.
I've watched it on television 1,000 times.
It may well be. I don't really watch the council meetings on TV. I hope that doesn't hurt anybody's feelings, but I wouldn't really know.
What would be the difference, because sometimes as far as city council, it's a part-time job, okay? So I'm just curious. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll watch those public speakouts all the time on the actual Focus Springfield because they record them. They've always been recorded. So a lot of times what will happen is once they talk, I'll go and I'll watch it and review it. So we do see it. You don't have to sit there. It's recorded on TV. What's the difference of me watching it on TV than changing the whole rules?
Thank you. Do you have any further questions or
No.
comments? Okay, thank you, Councilor Hurst.
I'll just say at some point in time, we do run the risk. I'm sorry. I'll say at some point in time, we do run the risk of confusing the public. And so I don't mind sending it back to the General Government Committee. But I do think we either need to arrive at some sort of resolution after that meeting and either vote it up or down, because to a few of my colleagues' points, we don't want to confuse those that come in for speak out. I also think it probably makes sense to start our meetings, if we're going to do this, to start our meetings at 6 o'clock and, have public speak out start at 6 o'clock when it would ordinarily start, and then we would segue into our regular meetings. But that also may be confusing. And so if it doesn't make sense to move it forward, I just think we ought to deal with it, vote on it, and move forward after we meet this last time in general government.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst. Councilor Govan?
Just for clarification, I was under the impression that public speak out would be in the city council meeting, which would start at 6:30 now that we've changed that time. So we start the city council meeting with public speak out, and then we would go into our meeting. I wasn't clear that it was going to start at 6 o'clock, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Any other comments, questions on the motion to send to General Government Committee? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the motion to committee, Councilor Santinello. Absent. Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez. Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
No.
No, Councilor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes. Motion sufficient. Madam Clerk, please call. Motion will go to General Government Committee. Madam Clerk, please call the next item on the roll.
Next
on the
item
agenda.
is Eversource Gas, Pilgrim Road.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, councilors. Chris Signoli, DPW Director, Bennington Street, Springfield. In front of you tonight, there are 4 petitions. The first petition is by Eversource Gas for the retiring of medium pressure gas line and the installation of 2,400 feet of 2-inch plastic pipe on Roanoke Road, Mayflower Road, Quaker Road, Pilgrim Road. These are roadways that are off of Surrey Road in the East Forest Park section of Springfield.
That concludes your remarks?
Yes.
Any questions from councilors? Councilor Govan?
Thank you, Madam President. Chris, I think whenever these items come up before us, I am always hesitant to just pass them because it's Eversource, because we just heard the public speak out earlier. And the only reason I don't, I think, is because I think it would affect our constituents if this isn't done. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes. This is in order to increase pressure in the neighborhood for all of the streets in the neighborhood. Eversource has been doing this over the last 4 or 5 years throughout the city in order to create better pressure in those neighborhoods. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And that's the reason I don't bring it up. But I will bring it up today because we did have a public speak out regarding Eversource. And I got my bill today. It was $25 for, because I have solar, so I got the first light bill. The supply was was $8. The delivery was $16. It was double, you know, and so we have to figure out, I know that Stephen Howard talked about it. We have to figure something out because our constituents cannot afford all this going up. I know you have nothing to do with it. So I'm talking to Eversource. But thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Just to reiterate from last week, we do need to stick to the topic that is on the agenda and not veer off on bills. We can have a subcommittee meeting with Eversource like we've been doing, and we could talk about bills, rates, and all those things. Right now, we got to stick to the topic at hand. I just wanted to remind councilors. Thank you. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. Chris, now this actual project is going to entail digging?
Yes, it will.
Okay. I think as far as in the future, we have to meet up with Eversource and the city and decide about a more aggressive repaving once they dig it up. When I drive the city, you see so many potholes. That's because of that stuff being dug up and then them just putting some asphalt or some it's not that great of a job, a patch job. So when it snows and stuff, you get all these potholes. Is there a way we can meet with Eversource to maybe come up with a more aggressive repaving plan? Because what they're doing, it's not working. It's just still creating big potholes.
Yes, we can. We can create a maintenance and development committee meeting to have Eversource come in to talk about surface restoration in the city.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for your work.
Thank you, Councilor
Thank you,
Brown. Any other questions or comments on item number 2? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On approval, Councilor Santinello. Absent, Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes. More than sufficient. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Item 3 is the 26-03, remove no parking sign.
We are back in the exact same section of town that we were just talking about off of Surrey Road. A number of years ago throughout the city, yelling at me in front of the councilors.
You are.
I'll get you. Good evening, councilors. We're talking in the exact same section of the city that we were just talking about with Eversource Gas. This has come up a number of times throughout the city. Probably 40, 50, 60 years ago throughout the city, anywhere near schools, whether colleges or high schools, no parking restrictions were put in on side streets in order for people not to park on the side streets and make them park at the school, in the school. Regulations in this section of town in the East Forest Park were basically for the old Cathedral High School to limit people parking on the street. I've been dealing with areas off of Wilbraham Road for AIC, Springfield College, and other areas on the same sort of thing. The residents in this area put together a petition, and the request and the approval of the Traffic Commission is to remove the restriction of no parking on the streets during the day, as there is no real need for the enforcement in that area now.
Councilor Martin.
Thank you, DPW Director of Signoli. So yes, this is a big Ward 7 issue. I've received a lot of calls from constituents, kind of around like November to my recollection, maybe late October, that they were getting ticketed for like the first time in like quite a long time. So the request from many residents was to essentially remove that. So it is, a big concern. A lot of the residents are looking forward to it to be removed. And there was I believe it was a traffic commission meeting led by Hector Velez. He was really well received by the neighbors, so I want to thank him publicly for his hard work. And, he was really well received and the neighbors loved him. So thank you for continued hard work, and I encourage my fellow colleagues to remove those no parking signs. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor
Thank you,
Martin.
Councilor.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Councilor Davila?
Thank you, Madam President. Chris, good to see you. So we are petitioning to remove these parking spots, correct?
We're getting
parking signs.
We are getting rid of the no parking, either 7 to, it's a mix of 7 to 4 or 8 to 4 in those neighborhoods. There were signs put up during that period of time basically to prohibit school kids from parking on the streets there at the time. So basically eliminate the no parking regulation on those streets.
Okay. I'm just trying to play this out in my head. So basically, can that be used as a drop-off then? Although I don't see why they will be using it as a drop-off because the school is in the other way.
No, it's
yeah.
it's basically because these streets are off, and I know for somebody who attended Cathedral High School, there were times where you were not allowed to park in the school parking lot, so you parked on the side street.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't have to pay your quarter or 50 cents to park in the lot, but you would park on the side street, but you would get a ticket. So what was happening, as Councilor Martin mentioned, is that over the last year or so, a number of ordinance and/or parking authority went around the city and started ticketing people who were basically parked in front of their own home during the day. So there really isn't an issue with any of the schools that the size of the school is now. So the restriction really isn't needed anymore.
Okay, and my last question is, and I know that hasn't happened yet, but just keeping a planning eye view on this, do you see any potential issue coming up with any other potential development that might be going into that area?
In that area, no. This is fully built out. All the streets that are being looked at as part of this regulation are all fully built out.
Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe Councilor Martin said that the association approved this through the chair?
Yes. Yes. The only other thing, Counselor, I misspoke a little bit. There is the proposed development off of Wendover Road, but that will have its own roadway network, parking regulations, et cetera, associated with it.
Just do my due diligence, because we all know that has become a very busy, traffic-heavy area, and so, good. All right, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On approval, Councilor Santinello. Absent, Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila. Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes. More than sufficient. Madam Clerk, please call the next item on the agenda.
The next item is the stop sign at Forest Park Ave. There are actually two.
Yes, I was going to ask if they can both be heard together.
Yes, they can both be heard together.
Thank you. Item 4 and item 5 in front of the Traffic Commission. Last fall, four-way stop signs were installed on Forest Park Avenue at the intersection of Riverview and Western View, and at the intersection of Forest Park Ave with Forest and Randolph Street. The Traffic Commission voted it as a trial. And like any trial we do in the city, for the first week and a half, 2 weeks, we received 1 million phone calls of people hating it because they didn't know the stop signs were there. Then over the last 5 to 6 months, 4 to 5 months, as it's been installed, everybody in the neighborhood loves it. I shouldn't say everybody. A majority of the neighborhood loves it. Traffic speeds have slowed down on the roadway, and we are receiving a number of requests from around the city to install similar things. So the Traffic Commission went through the trial period. There were no negative responses received by the Traffic Commission during the trial period, so therefore we're asking for its permanent approval.
Thank you, Ms. Shignoli. Any questions, comments from Councilor Davila?
Thank you, Madam President. Chris, I know exactly those stop signs there because I didn't see them myself at first, and so it's quite an experience to see them for the first time. But anywho, it has been very well received. People are able to walk more securely, and I think this is a good addition to the area for safety purposes. And so, if I'm not mistaken, Chris, the Forest Park Civic Association did support this a couple of months ago, right?
Correct. They were actually the applicant.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, I just want to say, Madam President, that it's a welcome addition. I will be supporting this, and thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Any, Councilor Fenton?
Thank you, Madam President. I also support this. Chris, I want to thank you, Councilor Davila and Forest Park Civic Association for putting this forward. The first few times, Madam President, that I went through that intersection, I either missed the stop sign or almost missed the stop sign because I've been driving down that street for a very long time, not accustomed to seeing it in that location. But since then, having gone down Forest Park Ave, I've noticed that it really has had a material positive impact on getting people to reduce speed. I was going through there actually last night and saw all of the vehicles becoming more familiar with the traffic pattern, and I think it's something that is going to be a great benefit to the neighborhood and has already been. It's actually something that may be coming before this council in the future we're trying to replicate on Springfield Street in the Atwater Park neighborhood, where they have similar issues to those facing Forest Park Ave. So thank you, Councilor Davila, Chris, and the rest of the team for your efforts here.
Thank you, Counselor Fenton.
Thank you.
Any others? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the petitions.
On approval of items 4 and 5, Counselor Santinello. Absent, Counselor Martin.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes, more than sufficient. Chris, I still just love the roundabout over on St. James, so I'm always going to bring it up. Madam Clerk, please call the next item on the agenda.
Item 6 is an order granting an easement to the city of Springfield at the north side of Crystal Brook Drive.
Good evening, councilors. Chris Signoli, DPW Director.
This is your whole meeting.
It must be my food order. There's a development that is taking place, Crystal Brook, West Crystal Brook, in the outer belt section of the city. As part of the development, the developer is creating a detention basin, and the owner is going to retain, the developer is going to retain ownership of the lot where the detention basin is being built, and they are granting an easement to the city for maintenance purposes. Basically, all the stormwater from the development will go into that detention basin and then flow out. And the pipes going in are all city pipes. The pipes going out are all city pipes. So this will just be a maintenance agreement for the detention basin itself. In lieu of the city owning the land, we just need a maintenance agreement and an easement for that lot.
Any questions, comments from councilors? Deliberation? All right, seeing none. Oh, Madam Clerk, can you please recognize Counselor in seat 1?
Counselor Santinello.
Present.
Present.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on item number 6.
On approval, Counselor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Martin.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes. Item approved. I just wanted to bring councilors' attention to the agenda for a moment that we have added back unfinished business so that items that are sent to committee are not missed. There are certain rules on who can pull items out of unfinished business. I will send them all along to you, but I know item number 1 can be pulled by any councilor because it's been on there for quite some time. So unfinished business is just that. Unfinished business, and at certain points, the subcommittee can pull them out of unfinished business, and at certain points, so can councilors. So those rules will be circulated to all of you, and it's just to prevent items from being missed that are sent to committee. Madam Clerk, are there any more items on the agenda?
Aside from unfinished business?
Yes.
No, there are not.
All right. Then the meeting is adjourned. Huh?
If I may, before we adjourn.
Oh, yes.
Unfinished business, maintenance and development, items 8, 9, 10, 11. My understanding that was going to come up through the chair. I don't know if that's correct or what's the wish of the chairman.
No one.
I was at the meeting. My understanding was that it was okay to come out for a vote. Please correct me if that's not correct.
Maintenance and development?
Yes.
Councilor Click Bruce?
Yeah, so, Madam President, I guess I messed up the rule with not notifying you personally. I didn't know how that worked. But yeah, we did make a motion to actually send out 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11.
Pull those out
yeah.
of committee.
So it might have been a mishap on my part with contacting yourself or the clerk. But yeah, we did to Councilor Davila's point, we did make a motion to send them to this body to be heard.
Thank you. So we will hear items 8, 9, 10, and 11. Right?
Madam President, we also recommended number 7 as well.
7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Madam Clerk, please call the next item on the agenda.
Item 7 is amending Chapter 279, peddling and soliciting. It's on for first step.
Good evening,
You again?
Yeah, me
Name
again.
and address for the record.
Thank God I get overtime. Good evening, councilors. This is, aside from the peddling soliciting, is known as the food truck ordinance that we've been working on. We were in front of the council in November, and then again, I believe in January and February. We have held a total of 4 subcommittee meetings over that time, most recently 2 over the last month period or so. The first meeting, we went through the list of all the food vendors that we had through Health and Human Services and invited them to a meeting. And then we had a second meeting where we invited all of the neighborhood associations as well. And that was the meeting that Councilor Click Bruce is referring to. I am not going to go through the highlights unless somebody would like me to. I'm happy to go through again. At the meeting, there were basically 3 items of contention. Item number 1 was basically the cost of a permit. I had made a recommendation that a permit for 6 months would be $450 with a $150 renewal. The next item was the buffer from residential property. Right now in the regulations, it's 500 feet. Some of the vendors and some of the councilors thought that that was too far. And then the last one was the hours of operation and expanding them. What was discussed at the meeting, we came up with a number of items, and basically what was recommended to the councilors, Councilor Click Bruce as the leader, was that those items could be brought forth in front of the council. Since this had already been brought up in front of the council, didn't want to make those modifications until they were presented to the full council. So at this point, I would recommend the council's debate on this. Basically, those were the 3 main items. There might be a couple more, but those were the 3 main items that we were discussing. And again, this is just for first step at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Signoli. What I am going to do is ask councilors to abide by the rules, speak twice, 5 minutes per time, so that we can get through that. We have had several subcommittee meetings about this item, and so I will be enforcing it with the timer. I seen Councilor Govan's hand first, but before you, I'm going to let Councilor Click Bruce speak because he is the chair of Maintenance and Development.
Thank you, Madam President, excuse me. First, I would like to publicly acknowledge and thank Chris Signoli for the time and effort he has put in outlining the changes that need to be made in order to improve this process. At this time, there were no formal recommendations from the committee. However, as the chair of this committee, I did bring forth some suggestions to Chris after holding two meetings on this matter. I believe it is important that we begin to move this forward. After reviewing Mr. Signoli's proposal, several recommendations and suggestions have emerged. I remain open to hearing from my colleagues on what they would like to see included in this proposal. Mobile food truck operations need clear guidance and the rules and procedures they will be expected to follow. And also, Madam President, I was riding down, coming to the meeting. I won't say the location, but it was a food truck parked, and to me, you know, he was serving, I think it was a smoothie or something. Had no gloves on, and just kind of, you know, brought my mind back to we need some procedures in place, and who's going to monitor these food trucks. So, Madam President, I just want to bring that forth because I did see that I was driving down today. Again, at this time, we must ensure we are protecting the quality of life in our neighborhoods. This includes considerations such as hours of operation, which Chris mentioned. I would like to look at us, restroom access, generator noise, buffer zones, parking, and the process for obtaining special permits for mobile food truck operators. I do believe, I think they should come before us for approval as well. And again, I'll end my comments. We all want to get this right. In order to do that, we need to continue moving this process forward in a thoughtful and collaborative way. I petition my colleagues to please give your input. This is something that is needed in our city, and I look forward to the debate. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Counselor. So you're not making any motions at this time. You want to hear from counselors first?
Yeah, I do want to hear from counselors. I did give some proposals that I sent to the counselors, I should say, and I also sent to Chris Signoli as well.
Thank you, Counselor Click-Bruce. Counselor Govan?
Thank you, Madam President. So I guess maybe to Maintenance and Development Chair and Chris, again, thank you both for, through the chair, through the president, for doing this work, because I think it's been needed in our city for a long time. I go away and I see places that have like some, really lively stuff happening with food truck parks and music and different activities. And I'm just wondering if that came up in any of your conversations. I think I attended a couple of meetings, but not all of them. And were there any stipulations around that, about maybe possibly a food truck park?
There were discussions about a food truck park kind of in two contexts. Number one, if the city of Springfield were to be able to identify a location that was city-owned, that we would create something, which at this point I don't have any input on that. And then number two was versus having one or two trucks on private property, where you would have multiple ones on private property. So when we were kind of talking about the word food truck park, it was more of a discussion, number one, as I said, about a city basically coming up with a piece of property, but it was really also discussed more in the context of somebody having a piece of property where they would have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mobile food trucks there. So it was more in that context.
Okay, thank you. That clarifies things a little bit. I'm in favor of this, and we do want to be careful about the fees, I think. I know that you guys talked about that. So this is first step. I'm going to review a little bit more, maybe talk to some more food truck people, as well as the community, because we do have our food truck festival coming up in October, and a lot of them always, come out there and have a good time and make some money, which is what the goal for them is, to make money, right? And then, of course, how do we get paid? No. How does the city benefit? But we do benefit because our residents are going out there and they are paying the fee. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Counselor Govan. Counselor Walsh, followed by Counselor Perez, and then Counselor Martin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to follow up on what my colleague, Councilor Govan, brought up. I was concerned about the fees. I believe there have been some discussions with the owners of the food trucks, and I don't know whether or not that's an excessive fee, if that's affordable, or I'd like to see more discussion around the fees. But I do think it's a good idea to have these regulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Perez?
Thank you, Councilor Ward. I'm part of the Maintenance and Development Committee, and one of the issues they have reflected over and over is the fee. I think we need to discuss the fee, and the presentation that they presented was very valid because they are seasonal business, and the type of food that they serve, and this came out of the committee, is not as greater as the restaurants. So yes, that was one of the highlights, if not the most, that was reflected at the Maintenance Committee. Thank you, Councilor Walsh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Perez. Counselor Martin?
Thank you, Madam President. Again, I want to thank Director Signoli and Maintenance and Development Chair, Councilor Click Bruce, for the hard work in this. I do think regulation to some degree makes sense, and I think Councilor Click Bruce alluded to maybe like a special permitting, similar kind of like process. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that would be a common sense, clear way to, regulate this new industry and to make it, make it as beneficial as possible to the city of Springfield. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Martin. Councilor Delgado.
Thank you, Madam President. I too want to congratulate, or thank, I should say, Chris for your diligence on this, and obviously Councilor Click Bruce for your work on this. I was one of the ones that kept pushing it to committee because I wanted to make sure that we had the voices of the food truck vendors. That was one of my biggest things, and so you guys have done that, and I do see a lot of progress on this, and some of the folks have given me feedback as well, saying, that you guys have worked with them, which is the biggest piece. I would also second the aspect around really thinking innovatively. Food trucks are not new. They've been around for a while. You go to Los Angeles, you go to any major city, they've got food truck parks. You go to Puerto Rico, they find different ways to really make a thing out of it. And I think we really need to, to Councilor Cliff Bruce's point, is kind of think together with the city on what we can do with that. I mean, you just drive down New Haven and see what New Haven has right on the riverfront. And that is a place where people go to all the time. So we could definitely make an impact and making sure that it's not just making regulations to make it safe, but also make this beneficial to the city, but also a revenue generator in some way capacity. So thank you guys for all your work.
Thank you, Councilor Delgado. Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chris, I know we talked about parking at the sites, and I believe you mentioned something about the proponents submitting a sketch for parking, correct?
Correct.
But that's going to be for every truck that's going to be there?
It will be for the entire parcel. So if they have 2 food trucks, the analysis for that is twofold. Number one, does the food truck area have enough parking to support it? And then number two, if it has enough to support it, is it impacting an existing business that is there? Meaning, is it taken away from their parking for the business to be able to operate? We noticed over the last couple of years, there were some places where businesses have 4, 5, 6 parking spaces, but there would be a food truck in 2 of them. So the business would only have 2 or 3 parking spaces left. So it was kind of twofold. Number one, does the food truck business have enough parking for it? We want to make sure it does. And then also at the same time that the business, if there is a primary business that is operating there, that is not negatively impacted as well.
So the answer is that the requirement will be a sketch or a plan for every single food truck, even if it's just one?
Correct.
Okay, because I saw that today. I was driving down State Street, actually, and I was a little concerned with the, good for the guy, he was making his money, but I thought that he created an issue with the parking, and that goes along with safety as well. Thank you, Chris. Madam Chair, I know that a lot of progress has been made on this, and it's good. We do need to regulate this. This is a niche industry. It's a niche industry that it's an expensive industry. It's an industry that can also be profitable. However, I do feel that we need more answers. I know there's a lot here to digest. One thing that I have heard very clearly from the meetings is, as another councilor just brought up, the issue with the permit. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we have not set an exact fee amount as of yet. And if I'm not mistaken, we haven't decided about the buffer zone. I know that Chris is suggesting 500 feet. I have heard some serious concerns about that. And so what concerns me the most out of those 2 is the buffer zone, because we might be shooting ourselves in the foot if we start restricting 500 feet. It's going to take a lot of spaces away that are going to be available. And I'm afraid that we are going to be, in return, shrinking the possibilities of spaces for these places to operate. I would like to see that concrete suggestion resolved before we act on this first step. I would prefer this goes back to committee so that we can, at the very least, talk about the buffer zone, because I am concerned with that and has brought up to my attention. So I will be voting no to committee, to first step. I prefer that it stays in committee. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Are you making a motion, or you want to wait?
Well, in that case, I'll make a motion, yes.
Okay, make a motion to send this back to Maintenance and Development Committee. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Davila, seconded by Councilor Fenton. Is there any discussion on the motion to committee? Councilor Click Bruce?
Thank you, Madam President. Again, I don't have a problem with going back to committee. This is the second time that I've hosted these meetings. And then I had an email circulated to all the councilors to give input. Nobody responded. So again, it can go back to committee, but I'm begging everyone to give input. It doesn't make sense for us to keep having meetings, Give input so Chris can actually put into what we want, so that way he can present to us where we're coming at from a body and we can move forward with this. So again, I don't have a problem with holding another meeting, but I'm asking and I'm begging for councilors to put in writing what you want to see in this proposal, so that way we can move forward. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Click Bruce. Councilor Hurst?
I too want to thank Councilor Click Bruce on the work that he's done. I've had the opportunity to attend a couple of those meetings, and I completely understand his desire to move forward. So I will be voting no on this motion and yes to first step, at which time we'll still be able to have a committee meeting and hopefully move this along. Chris, I just wanted to get an idea as to the timing. I know Councilor Click Bruce is looking to move this forward because, you know, of days like today and the fact that spring is coming and folks, you know, want to start operating their food trucks. And my fear is that if we don't get something on the books, then folks will be operating willy-nilly for, you know, the next 2 to potentially 3 months and however long we take. So can you just give us an idea as to what the time frame is and why it is that we're looking to move this forward now, sooner rather than later?
Yeah, the intent, councilors, when we brought this in front of you late last fall, was to have it in place for the spring so that food vendors, even though we had a great turnout from the food vendors, we do know that a lot of them probably will not know that there is a new regulation that will be in place, whatever the rules and regulations end up being. So we don't want to be, we rather would spend the time in the winter and spring getting that information to them. And I think that's going to end up being the most difficult thing, is getting to these people while they're out in the field and letting them know that they got to go through a permitting process. If they're operating, you know, really what I would like to do is, you know, by May 1, have this in place so that we can just get the application process for the summer. And you're 100% right. A day like today, everybody's out in shorts and riding bicycles all of a sudden, where a week ago we were plowing snow. So I do anticipate a big, once the weather really does turn, probably May 1st, I would really want to target it for that time to be able to start that process. What my anticipation is that we would probably spend the first month basically working with ordinance and my people, going around the city and providing everybody with application packages, notifications on what they need to do. We're not going to be hitting people with fines or anything like that, because we know that there's going to be a long process involved. So, and we know that will take it through the year. A lot of food trucks operate year-round, but there is also a good percentage of them that operate, you know, basically in the summer months. So those are the ones that we're really trying to hit.
One moment. No.
I'll just remind my colleagues that an ordinance of this nature that is as complex as this one is, it's probably impossible to get it perfect. But what I will say is that we can always come back to the table after we see it rolled out and make any necessary amendments. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst. Councilor Edwards hasn't spoke yet, so Counselor Edwards, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And this is a question maybe for some of the more seasoned counselors. Then once was the time when we would pass first step and then automatically the item would then go to the General Government Committee, or in this case, probably back to the same committees, but it would take and speed up the process because we would have the foundational pieces in place. That follow-up committee meeting would be where you would iron out the finer points, as my colleague Click Bruce just made reference to. Am I off base with that? We are being able to pass first step today, does not preclude, and then it would require another set of committees before it came back to be finalized by the committee of the whole? Could somebody kind of just clear me out? Am I correct, Attorney Claris?
First step committee usually triggers a committee meeting. And remember, we used to have 3 steps, and now it's gone down to 2. But with the amount of questions and concerns raised with this, I think committee is a good idea.
So Madam President, if we do pass first step, it's not law until the second step, but that would still allow for the meeting and for Council Bruce to collect any comments, ideals, and suggestions before it comes back to us the next regular meeting. And then at that time, we would then vote on what was presented. So
that is accurate, Councilor Edwards, and this is on the motion.
Okay.
Did you have any more comments? No. Okay, thank you, Councilor Edwards. Councilor Brown was first.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam President. I was privy to be with work alongside our former colleague, Councilor Williams, who actually created the actual ordinance back when he did it. As it's been going along, people do know some of the things, but I've been going around to these different, some of these food trucks, and they don't know the meetings. They've had concerns about it. I know a lot of times with the different things, as far as not just food trucks, anything, notifying the different constituents and people what's going on. It's not still getting to everyone. So I still, based on the pricing, I've heard a lot of people, truly terrified about it. So there's still concerns. I think there's a lot of good things, but I would still look to see it still go into committee, to still give us a chance to contact some of the people, because it still takes time to actually contact and talk to the actual food truck vendors, because that's what a lot of us do. So I would still support sending it to committee. Thank you. Just because of the simple fact even that we don't have 3 votes anymore. We only have 2, and there's still a lot of information that has to be processed. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Walsh, followed by Councilor Delgado.
Thank you, Madam President. I would just like to follow up on the comments of Councilor Brown and DPW Director Signoli, that the concerns about everybody being notified. So I think we need to build in perhaps a grace period with this the new rules for this, so that we are not penalizing people who did not get the word. I think that's something we could talk about in committee. And I think I neglected to thank Councilor Click Bruce and Chris Signoli for all their hard work on this.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Delgado.
Thank you. I just want a clarification. Is Attorney Shea on?
He was. Yes, Attorney Shea.
I just had a question, because I know we're talking about first step, and I don't want to pause progress that has been made here already. But I guess my question was, so my understanding is you pass first step, you go to the committee meeting, and we can still tweak things before we get to the second vote. So I just want to make sure that my understanding of that is correct.
That is correct.
Okay. And then the second question I had is in regards to the buffer zone. I know there are folks that are operating currently. Is there anything built in there for folks to be grandfathered in, for folks who have already been established? Because again, these are micro businesses. And so I just want to make sure that, you know, we're not automatically cutting off somebody's lifeline who has been operating and doing it for the last several years. And then we put in this buffer zone. You know, I want to make sure that we have some stuff in there as well on that. So that's my comments.
Thank you, Councilor Delgado. Councilor Govan?
So I don't think that we should send it to committee either, because if we pass first step, then we're going to have a committee meeting anyways, it sounds like. And I would like to be able to get to that meeting, because I've had a few food truck owners talk about how expensive it is to get their trucks on the road, because they have to pay, you know, fire, police, the health department, a few fees associated with that, and then to add another fee on top of it might be a bit of a burden, even though it might make the city money. Sorry, Councilor Delgado. But, so I don't know if it should be on a micro business to get that money in, you know? So those are just my comments. I think we should pass first step and then have a committee meeting and keep it moving. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Councilor Davila, I did see you, but going by the rule, Councilor Martin hasn't spoken yet. Councilor Martin?
I just have a kind of a clarification point. So if we pass the first step and then we don't pass a second step by the May 1st deadline, are these fees and the zoning like boundary restrictions, are they therefore enforceable with just the first step, or do we still need to pass? We still need to pass the second step.
We still have to pass second step.
Okay, so if we don't pass the second step by May 1st, that deadline that Director Signoli's talking about, there's nothing enforceable, then that nothing happens in terms of the food truck. Then it's that willy-nilly, as Councilor Hurst referred to it, I think.
It would just continue as it does now.
Okay, thank you. That's my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Martin. Councilor Davila?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chris, I'm going to start backwards. Refresh my memory, what's this May 1st deadline that Councilor Martin just spoke about?
It's not a deadline. It was basically the date that I would like to have it start, simply because it's kind of the unofficial start of the summer season for all of the food trucks in the city, and, you know, basically summer stuff that happens. So
Right.
It was a deadline that, I hate to use the word deadline, but it was kind of a target that I was looking at.
Okay, so that's your
It's not a hard deadline for anything, yes.
Right, right. So it's not like the whole thing's going to fall apart by May 1st. Okay. Thank you, Chris. We all know, Madam President, that once we pass first step here, or at least most of us know, that it's going to go to committee, and then from there it's going to be hashed out, and we're going to continue. That is true. But we also have been around long enough at this point to know that if somebody decides this is to move quickly, then it's going to move quickly and pass. And so I do hear, and usually I will have no objection to doing first step. However, I am concerned with the buffer zone. I am really concerned with the buffer zone. A lot of these small food truck vendors have reached out to me. They have spoken to me. They are upset about their 500-foot zone. And I think we need to talk about this before. That's how I will feel more comfortable, and I think the vendors themselves will feel more comfortable. I do, if I may, to the Madam President, to Councilor Lavar, Clerk Bruce, did you get any response from the vendors that were attending the meetings in regards to any suggestions specifically regarding the food zone? Because I know I haven't got anything back on the footage.
No, I did not.
Okay. If I may also, if I could, Councilor Clerk, I just checked my email. I must have missed your email, but can you resend that to me? Because I will be more than glad to send, if I don't hear from them, my own thoughts on this as to what might be an appropriate footage. Which, as I sit here right now, I couldn't tell you what it is. I think this is important because if we don't get the footage right, we are going to be eliminating a lot of spots that the food vendors are going to be able to be at, and it's just going to, I fear, damage the industry. So, you know, my suggestion is perhaps that If we don't get a response, if we send it to committee on what they think is appropriate in terms of footage, then we move forward with whatever this council sees fit. But I feel that, we need to figure out the footage issue. And again, the price, because I have heard also a lot of complaints about the price on the fees. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Click Bruce.
Thank you, Madam President. I know I spoke twice already, so this will be my last time speaking on this. So I just want to, for clarification, Chris, I did send you something for my suggestions. Did you take a look at them? Did you weave them in? Did you consider them? I just want to make sure that's on the record. And also to my committee members, Councilor Fenton and Councilor Perez, I would like to make a recommendation from our committee to submit to Chris. So that way we can have something formal from our committee as well, along with all of our councilors, don't get me wrong, but I want to have something from the committee members. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Click Bruce. And although the rule is two, I have the discretion to allow more discussion, so you're okay. Any other discussion, Councilor Govan, on the motion?
I just moved the question.
Well, okay, Councilor Govan. I think that there was no other hands up, Councilor Govan? Okay, thank you, Councilor Govan. Any other conversation? Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the motion to committee for this item.
On the motion to the Maintenance and Development Committee, Councilor Santinello.
No.
No, Councilor Martin.
No.
No, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
No.
No, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
No.
No, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Delgado.
No.
No, Councilor Click Bruce.
No.
No, Councilor Edwards. No, Councilor Whitfield.
No, motion fails. We are returning to discussion on item number 7. Are there any, Councilor Davila?
Move the question? Oh, I withdraw it.
I was going to do the same
withdraw
thing.
it.
I was going to do the same thing, so go ahead.
Move the question.
Okay, Councilor Davila requested to move the question, seconded by Councilor Edwards. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the motion to move the question, Councilor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown. Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards. Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes. Motion passed. Call the roll on item number 7.
On approval of first steps, Councilor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Martin. Yes, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Abstain.
Abstain, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
No.
No, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes. Item approved for first step, and we're going to keep it in Maintenance and Development Committee. Thank you. Madam Clerk, Chris, is the rest yours too? No. Okay. Madam
That's for
Clerk, please
committee.
call items 8, 9, 10, and 11 together.
Items 8, 9, 10, and 11 are for CET, Myrtle Street, Pearl Street, St. James Boulevard, and Main and Jefferson Avenue.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Tina Quagliato Sullivan, 19 Bedford Road in Springfield.
Thank you. You have the floor.
Yes, so these are actually, I have 4 items, items 8 through 11. They're all very similar in scope. These are for installation of electric vehicle chargers. Just to give the council a little bit of background, these chargers are being installed with a state grant, or not, I'm sorry, not a state grant, a grant from the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center. It's not a traditional grant in the fact that we don't actually intake any money. What happens instead is that the Mass Clean Energy Center hired a technical consultant to help the city design, site, do outreach, and then will install and also oversee long-term maintenance of the chargers for 5 years following installation. And so the location, so just to give a little background on the siting process, the city and the technical consultant vetted we started with somewhere between 15 and 20 locations. The technical consultant reviewed those for feasibility, ease of install, as well as they went through a public outreach process. They went through the neighborhood councils, and various involved city departments vetted all the locations. The locations that are before you, which are near Myrtle Street Park, the Apremont Triangle, Pearl Street in the Apremont Triangle, St. James Boulevard near Marshall Roy Park, and Main and Jefferson Avenue were the highest scoring locations, and so this is before you for approval.
Thank you. Any discussion, deliberation on the items? Councilor Cliff Bruce, followed by Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Madam President. We did have this in our committee, I think it was last week, I believe, and very pleased with the presentation, with the presentation that we were given. So our recommendation was to bring it out, to have a formal discussion and a formal vote from our colleagues. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Madam President. And I remember when Tina was sending out the emails regarding the locations here, Myrtle Street was one of the chosen ones, and they were very flexible. We brought it to the Citizens Council, and the community said, well, maybe they shouldn't be in front of this place. And so they did a little maneuvering, and I think the community is going to be very happy with it. So I think we should definitely vote for this. Thank you.
Any other councilors on the items? Councilor Perez?
To say thank you, Tina, for the information. And after meeting in the Maintenance Development Committee, we had a lot of questions when it comes to the maintenance, and then the information was satisfied, as well as the safety issues that I presented while it was being developed. So thank you. And according to the information, I met with some of the businesses in the north end. They had at the time some concerns because they thought that all the parking lot that has been newly developed was going to be taken for the purpose, but it was not. It was discussed. We will be having one only, not for as an interpretation of the beginning that everyone was misunderstanding. So thank you for your lengthy information. Thank you, Tina. And I'm in support of the Main and Jefferson.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concern, deliberation, discussion? All right. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the 4 items together.
On approval of all 4, Councilor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Martin?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Delgado?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield?
Yes, items approved. Was there any discussion on item 12? There was? Okay.
If I may,
Sure.
Madam President, we're having a committee meeting, a finance committee meeting on this topic on March 18th at 4 o'clock.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. So this one will remain on unfinished business, and anything else that went to subcommittees as well. Madam Clerk, any other items on the agenda?
There are not.
Seeing none, this city council meeting is adjourned. Our next hearings meeting is on March 23rd. It will start at 5:30. Is that right, Madam Clerk?
At 5:30?
And proclamations will be at 5 because we missed 2 hearings meetings already, so it's a long agenda. So just mark your calendars, please. Thank you.